Hey guys, I have a really different video for you today. There's no way that I thought I'd ever be making a video like this, but I think hopefully that you'll be able to get something out of it that will help you in the future in case something like this happens to you. And I just wanted to kind of tell you what happened and give you what it looks like going forward in case, like I said, you never know. This happened to me completely out of the blue, and it could happen to any one of you too. And so I would like to share with you what happened, just because I know you're curious, and then also because hopefully it might save someone else's life to understand what this looks like. So I'm 63 years old and in really good health, and I've always been able to manhandle things, and I'm just kind of a bull, I guess, in a way, and always been pretty strong from growing up, doing a lot of farm work when I was in high school, working for farmers, working on a commercial fishing boat in Alaska and so forth. And I played basketball for 30 years from the age of 25 until 55 when I had knee surgery and had to quit playing basketball. Unfortunately, when I quit playing basketball, I gained about 30 pounds fairly quickly, and I've battled to keep that weight on and off most of my life since then, for the last 8 years, I guess. So last weekend, my wife and I were up at our lake property, just working on stuff, getting ready for having family there and for bear camp and so forth. Cut some trees and put in a dock, putting in a floating dock up there. As I mentioned in an earlier video, we hung some shelves, and we had remodeled the kitchen earlier this year, and so we just finished that up by painting and hanging some shelves and stuff. And Sunday afternoon, I was just sitting on the deck, relaxing, thinking unfortunately we got to go home here sometime in the next few hours, talking about, well, should we put the boat in, go try to catch a few walleyes before we go or whatever. And then I just started getting this tightness in my chest, and it wasn't really painful at first, but it was just like this kind of a knot in my chest. And that was about 4 o'clock, and by 5 o'clock it was getting to be pretty painful, and I was starting to feel tingling in my upper neck, and then in the back of my neck was kind of felt like it was cramping up or something like that, and the tension in my chest was getting stronger, and just felt like I had a bear sitting on my chest or something, and it was becoming quite painful. And so about 5 o'clock, I just told my wife, let's just go home. And I didn't want to scare her, but I pretty much at that point knew that it was a heart problem, and we're over 2 hours from home. And so I thought, I'll start that way, and if this continues to get worse, I might just go to the hospital in Grand Rapids and go to the ER there, because we got to go not too far from there on the way home. We took off and closed everything up there, and about 20 to 30 minutes into the trip, I had just decided not to go through Grand Rapids. I started to get a pain in the upper arm, in my upper left arm, and at that point I'm like, okay, dude, I'm having a heart attack. These are all the symptoms that people say that you have when you're having a heart attack. So at that point, there was no doubt I'm having a heart attack, and I didn't tell my wife. I just told her I wasn't feeling well, and I decided just to try to get home, because I didn't want to go to the hospital in Grand Rapids and just kind of leave her stranded there in case they needed to keep me in the hospital for a few days, and then what would she do? So I thought, I'm going to try to get back to Brainerd and go to our local hospital. Within, it was pretty rough for about an hour of that drive, and then as I started getting closer to Brainerd, the pain started to subside a little bit, and actually briefly for a minute, which is really stupid, but I actually thought, well, maybe I don't need to go to the hospital. But anyway, so when we got close to home, close to town, I just said, I'm going to go straight to the ER. I'm not even going to go home. And so that's what I did. And I walked into the ER in Brainerd at the hospital, and there was no one at the desk. And so I pushed the button, and nobody came. and I'm still having chest pains and thinking, for crying out loud, here I am in the ER and there's nobody here. But I just got done driving for 2 hours, so I thought, well, I'll go down the hall, go to the bathroom. Went down the hall, went to the restroom, came back, still nobody. Pushed the button again, still nobody came. Finally, a guy walked by with a mask on. He looked like he was dressed like somebody that worked at the hospital. I go, hey, I'm having chest pains here, and I've been standing here for quite a while, and there's nobody around. And he says, well, I'll go see if I can find somebody. So he goes in the back, and within under a minute, a nurse come out and grabbed me, and they pulled me back there, started hooking me up to wires, taking blood. They're hooking me up to different machines and stuff like that, and doing all kinds of testing. And then they said, okay, we're going to keep you overnight because your numbers are elevated of troponin. I think it's called troponin. Anyway, it's an enzyme that your heart releases when it's under stress. And they said your numbers are up, and they're going up. The second time they took another blood test, and the numbers were up even higher. So apparently the heart was still stressed. They had put me on an IV with blood thinner, gave me a whole bunch of different pills, and wired me up to all kinds of different things. And then they said, we're going to keep you overnight, and we'll take a look at this, and probably in the morning you're probably going to have an angiogram. So during that night, they kept coming in, about every hour. There'd be a nurse would come in with another machine and hook me up, and then they'd come in and take my vitals, and then they'd leave and say, okay, try to get some sleep. And then half an hour later, they'd come in and take more blood, and then they'd say, try to get some sleep. And then an hour later, somebody else would come in and give me some pills to take or something. So I didn't hardly get any sleep that night. It just kind of went on like that all night. But then in the morning, they took me down to another part of the hospital, and they did an angiogram, which is really interesting because they put a wire in through the blood vessel in your wrist, and they just run it all the way up through your arm and your shoulder and around the corner and into your heart, and then they look at the blood vessels in your heart through an x-ray while they're doing this. So they found that my right coronary artery was 99% blocked, and all the other arteries and vessels, they all looked fine. They said it's just that one that was the problem, and they were certain that was what caused the heart attack. And so they put a stent in there, which is sort of this little wire thing that expands, and that opened it right up. And then they had to keep me in the hospital for 3 more hours while they put pressure on the hole that they made in that major blood vessel in my arm and my wrist. And then they gave me a bunch of medication to take, and they took the IV out of me, and they just kind of had to observe me for another hour, and I ended up going home about 5 o'clock on Monday night. So I was basically there a little under 24 hours. But so the doctor said, otherwise you're healthy, you're in good physical condition for your age, and that was the only blockage. The rest of them all look really good, so I'll probably never see you in here again, is what he said. And so hopefully I'm good for another 30 years or so. But the interesting thing about this was the feeling that I got in my chest, and the tingling in my and pain in my jaw and my neck, and then in my upper arm, are classic symptoms of a heart attack. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you have that kind of thing, man, get to the hospital and get it checked out. I made the decision to, usually you've got some time, and I was really fortunate that I didn't do any major damage to my heart. But the fact that the artery ended up being 99% blocked was probably, I was probably in more danger of long-term damage to my heart than I realized. So I probably should not have, waited over 3 hours to go to the hospital. But anyway, I got away with it. Not everybody would, so I just wanted to share that with you. I'm pretty fortunate. Technology is amazing, and God is good, and I'm here feeling better all the time. I'm just feeling pretty much back to normal, although one of the medications that they gave me gives me a little bit of shortness of breath because, when you put a foreign object in your body tries to fight it off, and that's what they gave me this medication for that I got to take for a year, and it stops your blood from trying to fight off this stent that's in me. And within 6 months to a year, then that stent's completely ingrown, and I don't need to take the medication anymore. But that one makes me kind of short of breath. But other than that, I'm feeling great. Just feeling like I'm ready to attack the world again. I'm back to work and working on the big North American Fishing Challenge tournament coming up this weekend, and thinking about how I can get back up to bear camp and do some of the work that's got to be done up there. And so I just want to share all this with you. Sorry this got kind of long. I hope it helps you out, and really thank you for all your thoughts and prayers. So many of you guys have been so supportive of me in the past, and I know you'll continue to be that way, and really appreciate it. And we will see you on the next video. We got a lot more stuff coming up. Thanks for being a part of this channel.